Good day, yogis, and welcome to today's Yin Yoga session, where we'll be focusing on balancing the kidney meridian. So for this yoga session, you're going to need a bolster, possibly a rolled up blanket, a couple of blocks, possibly even a yoga strap, which you can substitute with the belt of your gown or any long, even a towel, whatever you have handy. So join me on the mat. Let's begin in meditation. Bringing the palms together to touch. Allow yourself a few moments here, just connecting inward as you begin to focus on the breath. Gently begin to rub the palms together, generating some warmth between the hands, and then rest the hands into heart center. So connecting here within and into the heart center, taking a deep inhalation through the nose. And exhale, sigh out the breath. Another deep inhalation through the nose. Exhale, sigh out the breath. Gently allow the hands to drift down onto the knees, palms facing upward, allowing yourself a few moments here. Take this time now to deeply inhale and exhale through the nose, allowing yourself some moments here, connecting inward. Allow the shoulders to drift away from the ears as you lengthen up from the base of the spine, gently tucking the chin in towards the chest. Beginning to notice sounds outside the room. And as you notice one sound and then the next, not attaching to any sound in any way, just noticing. Not judging, just sitting with yourself and your breath, observing what is going on around you, becoming very present and rooted in this moment. Deeply inhaling, expanding through the rib cage, filling the lungs to full capacity. And as you exhale, allowing the lungs to empty fully right down to the bottom, last bit of stagnant air. So consciously expanding on the inhalation and the exhalation. Beginning to notice sounds now within the room you're in. Not attaching to any of those sounds, just noticing. And then finally drawing your awareness once more back to the breath. And maybe setting an intention for today's practice. Honor the body, or to just remain present and focused on breathing. Whatever that may be for you, set that intention now. Last couple of breaths here. And when you're ready, you can gently flutter the eyes open, coming back to the room. Just allowing yourself a few moments as we transition into the first of our Yin Yoga poses, which is toe squat. So coming onto the knees, as though you were about to go into hero pose, we're going to raise up, tuck the toes under. You can pull the baby toe out here to create a little bit of space. And then we're going to bring the hands into prayer pose. So sitting back onto the heels, if this is not accessible to you, you can raise yourself up and just take toe squat here. So wherever this is possible for you, allowing yourself now to sink back onto the heels, closing the eyes, and we're here for 2 minutes. So Yin Yoga is all about long holding of the postures. We work to the 3 principles of Yin Yoga, which are finding your edge. An appropriate edge, if you're looking at a range from 1 to 10, is at a 5. So we're not pushing into a space where the body is really straining or uncomfortable. So pressing down into the toes here and allowing this beautiful stretch right through to the tip of the toes. If at any time it becomes too much, you can just raise up onto the knees, take a little break, and then drop back down. We have a minute more to go here. So having found the edge of a 5, we now resolve to find stillness, so no fidgeting within the posture, and then hold. In yoga is all about long holding so that we work into the connective tissues, the ligaments, and the fascial layer of the body. Using the breath throughout the practice today, deeply inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Nearly there, and last few seconds, 15 seconds to go. Quieten the mind. Gently lower the hands down onto the mat, raise the feet off the ground, and begin to tap the toes, so sending energy all the way right down to the very tips of the toes. And then gently we're going to raise ourselves up. Sorry, let's go into this by tucking toes, pressing up into downward facing dog. Take a moment here. So really pressing palms down into the mat, sending the heels down, maybe paddling a couple of times here. Gaze towards the hands, and you're going to begin to walk the feet towards the fingers, but taking the feet to the edges of the mat. We're coming into yoga squat or malasana. So drop down into the squat. Bring the hands or the elbows into the knees. Pressing the knees out, bringing hands into prayer. So really important here that we lengthen up through the spine. So we're not bending or curving the spine over, we're raising up out of this posture. If you're able, if it's accessible for you to get the heels flat down on the ground, you can do so. If not, and you need a little bit of support under the heels, you can grab hold of your yoga blocks and use them just to give you that extra bit of support. So either having them under the heels or just prop the yoga block underneath the buttocks, like so. And then hold the posture. We're here for 3 minutes. If you don't need support, then just hold. You can close the eyes. And once more, turn inward. We're here for 3 minutes. We've been here for nearly a minute already. Just allow yourself to really settle down into the posture. Yin yoga is all about holding and going within. Turn your awareness once more back to the breath as you gently inhale and exhale through the nose. Deep breaths. Allow yourself to really sink down into the shape. Let the body reap the benefits here. The elbows pressing against the knees, drawing the knees out, taking a nice stretch into the groin. The length created through the spine. So really elongating the spine here. Creating space. All the while, deeply inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Moving into the last minute of our stretch. So just seeing where you can soften just that little bit more. Maybe at this point you want to remove your support. Just take this last minute holding the posture. Last 30 seconds here. Surrender down into the shape for these last few seconds. Coming into the last few breaths, gently dropping the hands down onto the mat. And we're going to move straight up into the next shape, which is called dangling. So raising the buttocks back up, heel toe the feet back towards one another. You can have them hip width apart. And then bend generously into the knees and allow the forehead to hang down. Take a little stretch here by bringing hands onto the elbows. And just allow that whole upper back to lengthen and cascade over the thighs. So really draping the torso over your legs here. Allowing yourself to ease into the pose. And then allow the hands to just drift down towards the ground. And just dangle. Dangling is one of the only standing postures in yin yoga. So it's a very floor-based practice. This posture is really beautiful for lengthening and creating space along the spinal column. So I find it just a beautiful de-stressing pose where you can allow all the stress just to pour right out of the top and crown of the head down into the ground. Just breathe deeply into the back body here, really expanding through the back of the rib cage. Creating space with every exhale, sighing out any bits of tension. If at any time this posture becomes too much or you need a break, you can just bring hands onto the shins, straighten the legs, gaze towards the floor, take a couple of recovery breaths, and then go straight back into the full expression of dangling. Deep, beautiful breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. With every exhale, just melting down a little bit further into the shape that you're in. We're here for another 2 minutes, so really see if you're able to fully let go. Really relax through the shoulders, really allow the arms just to drift down with gravity towards the ground. The crown is facing your mat. Neck is loose, so you can nod the neck or the head yes and no here. Hold no tension through the neck, just let it hang down. Moving into the last 30 seconds of our stretch. Just notice what's presenting for you. Reaching down into the soles of the feet, pressing them deeply into the mat beneath you. And then when you're ready, gently straighten the legs, bring the hands onto the knees, roll the hands into the waist here, and then gently begin to roll out one vertebra at a time. Restacking the vertebrae all on top of one another, coming up into standing. Take the feet hip width apart here. Let's roll a little bit here from side to side. Just creating a little bit of space now through that beautifully stretched out spine. Allow the arms just to drift around the body from side to side. And then gently come back to neutral. We're going to take a seat and come into our next posture. So just grabbing hold of a bolster. So the next shape is called half butterfly. So full butterfly would be with the two soles of the feet touching. Half butterfly, we take one sole, so the right foot, sole of the foot into the thigh, and we're going to fold over the extended leg. So this is where your props can come in handy. You can use a bolster or a block or whatever you have to prop up onto the leg as you allow yourself to fold forward. Now this shape, we don't bring the chest down to shin, we actually allow the forehead to drop down, and we're looking for that arching of the back. So flexion here of the spine. So allow the forehead to drop down, allow the hands just to rest. The target area of the stretch is all the way through the lower back, around into the upper back. And just breathe deeply here. You can, if you need to, build a little base if the neck is feeling a bit tight. Just place a block underneath or on top of the bolster. If you don't have a bolster or pillows, you can also just improvise here, using the different heights of your props to create a little tabletop for you to rest. So just breathing in deeply here, allowing yourself to fully surrender now into the shape. Remembering that as you inhale and exhale, you can breathe three-dimensionally here. So expanding forward and back, side to side, and up and down. So really expanding into the whole breathing cavity. Every exhale, allow yourself to fold down a little bit deeper. Beautiful deep breaths, deeply inhaling and exhaling through the nose, surrendering into the shape with every breath. Remembering once more the three principles of Yin Yoga, which are finding your edge, being still, and then holding. Moving into the last 30 seconds in our half butterfly pose. Just noticing and seeing if you can soften just that a little bit more into the posture. And when you're ready, you can gently turn the palms down onto the ground and begin to walk the hands back in towards the body. Gently raising yourself back up into a seated posture, sending the legs down, giving them a shake from side to side here. Let's get ready to go into the other side. So left sole of the foot into the right thigh. Allow the knee to drop down here. And then we're getting ready now to fold over to the extended leg, bringing the forehead down. And once more, Just finding the space of rest here. Be here for 3 minutes. Allow yourself to let go. Use the breath once more. Soften into the pose. Fully surrender down over the extended leg. Once more, using a prop either underneath the forehead or a pillow underneath the whole of the chest. Just with each breath, seeing if you're able to surrender and take the posture a little bit further. And then just knowing what it's all about, letting go. Are your shoulders relaxed? Is your face relaxed? Are you clenching your jaw? Are you able to fully surrender into this shape of half butterfly? Allowing the body to do its work here. Moving into the last 30 seconds, allow yourself to surrender just that little bit further. And then when you're ready, gently turning the palms down to face the ground, pressing palms into the mat as you gently roll out of half butterfly, moving back into seated, sending the legs to touch, moving knees from side to side. We're going to move into half shoelace. So shoelace pose, sitting forward. Take the right foot over the left. Bring the knee to stack over. So right knee stacking over left knee. And the foot resting beside the left buttock and thigh. And then we're gently going to fold over here, lowering the forearms down. And if you're able to rest the forehead over the knee, you may do so. If not, bring a block, prop it underneath the forehead, and just allow yourself then to fully surrender into the pose. Deep breaths here. Once more, looking for the edge of a 5 and working into the 3 principles of Yin Yoga. Once finding that edge, resolving to be still, and then holding. Using the breath here to help you to surrender deeper into the posture. Once more, focusing on surrendering any muscle tension in the body. Just really allowing the body to settle and melt down into the shape that you're presenting to it. Moving into the last 30 seconds of our shoelace, half shoelace stretch. Turning the palms into the ground, pressing them down, walking the hands back. Let's send the legs, feet back down towards one another, giving the legs a shake, getting ready to go into the other side. So left foot sweeps around, foot and heel tuck into the side of the hip and the buttock. Left knee is stacked just above right knee. And then when you're ready, allow yourself once more to fold over and draw up the hands down. Breathing deeply once more, inhaling, exhaling through the nose. Allow the body now to surrender here, softening right through from the tips of the toes, all the way along the calves, the back of the knee, the hamstrings, right up into the glutes. Just allowing this whole area to soften. Remembering once more that Yin Yoga works into the connective tissues, the ligaments and the fascial layer of the body. And the only way we get into these layers is by long holding the posture, taking away muscle tension and allowing the connective tissues, ligaments and fascial layer to stretch. Maybe bringing this into your mind as you find yourself in this shape. How can you surrender that a little bit more? How can you fully let go into the shape and allow the work that needs to be done there? Just deeply breathing. Moving into the last 30 seconds of our stretch. Last final bit of surrender. Gently turn the palms into the ground, walk the hands back. So coming back up into your seated pose, send the legs back together, give them a shake. Coming down on your mat, let's move into the next of our yin postures, which is called Eye of the Needle or reclined figure of four. So coming down onto the back, let's take a deep stretch. First, raising the arms up overhead, sending the feet down to the bottom of the mat, drawing the toes away from the fingertips, deep stretch. And as you exhale gently, draw sole or heels back up into the buttocks. Let's go to reclined figure of four on the first side. Let's take the left ankle over the right knee. Send the right knee away. Sorry, we got the right ankle over the left knee. Send the right knee away. We're going to thread the hands through. So threading the hand through this shape and interlacing the hands onto either the shins or the back of the thigh here. And then allowing yourself to come down with the whole of the back onto the mat, tucking the chin into the chest and drawing the knee in towards the chest. We're holding this posture for 3 minutes, so really allow yourself to surrender here. Beautiful stretch happening into the hip joint, really opening up through the hips here. Allow yourself to completely let go. Feet are both soft here, so usually in Hatha Yoga we'll flex the feet to gain a little bit more benefit through the stretch, but here we really want to work into connective tissues in the target area, which is the hips, the glute, the buttock area. Once more, bring your awareness back to the breath, deeply inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Soften through the shoulders. Soften down into the belly. Just really surrender down into body into the shape. Soften the chest. By tucking the chin into the chest, we gently lengthen through the back of the neck, so elongating the spine. Soften into the shape. Moving into the last 30 seconds here. And then gently beginning to release. Left foot back down onto the mat. Let's take a deep stretch before we move into the other side. So send fingers and toes away from one another. Take a deep, deep stretch here. And as you exhale, bring the soles of the feet once more to tuck in towards the buttocks. Let's take the left ankle now onto the right knee. Send that left knee away. So open up into this inner portion of the hip. Send the hands through, interlace the fingers to hold onto either the shin or the calf or the back of the thigh, whatever feels right for you. Draw the knee in towards the chest once more. Soften into the shape. Both feet are relaxed. Target area once more into the hip joint, along the inner thigh, the glute. Allow yourself to surrender down into this stretch. Once more, focusing on the breath as you inhale and exhale through the nose. Softening the shoulders, opening up the chest, really allowing each one of the vertebrae to press down into the ground beneath you. Allow that to be your base. Breathe into the space of the stretch where you're feeling it most. If it's the inner thigh area, if it's the hip area, wherever that is for you, breathe into that space and gently release any tension with the exhale. Taking a last few breaths as we move into the last seconds in Eye of the Needle pose. And then gently send the foot down once more. Take a deep stretch, hands up overhead, fingers pointed away, pulling toes and fingers away from one another. Gently hug the knees into the chest once more, rocking from side to side. And then we can begin to rock and roll, so raising up the hips and rolling back and forth here. We're going to come into the next of our shapes, which is melting heart. Rolling over and onto the knees, coming into tabletop. So let's set ourselves up from tabletop. Have the toes tucked as you begin to walk the hands to the top of your mat, and then allow the forehead to drop down. Forehead is touching the ground, and then from here you can rest the forearms down. So if you want to take this further, you can walk the elbows closer in towards the head, and then raise the hands up into prayer and tuck the thumb into the nape of the neck and allow yourself to really melt down into the ground here. So we're not only opening up through the chest here, but we're also taking a stretch through the triceps. So deep inhalations here. We're here for a couple of minutes. So just really allow yourself to fully find the expression of this posture. Deep breathing, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Allowing yourself to surrender down into the shape. This is called melting heart. So really allow the heart to melt down into the ground. Soften through the shoulders as much as you can. Breathe deeply into the entire breathing cavity, three-dimensionally, side to side, expanding, up and down, forward and back. We're moving into the last 30 seconds of the stretch. Just see where you can surrender that a little bit more. Moving into the last 30 seconds, let's just surrender down that little bit further. Gently lower the hands back down, press the palms into the mat, and begin to walk the arms back, drawing yourself back up into tabletop. Flatten the back toes, press into child's pose, allow the forehead to touch down into the ground, wrap the arms around the body to touch the feet, and just allow yourself now a few minutes here. Soften the entire body down into the mat. Sigh out the breath. Yin yoga is a deeply restorative practice. We move deep into the shapes, but we also take some rest in between. Allow this to be your rest.
allowing the thighs to cascade, or sorry, the belly to cascade over the thighs. Then you allow yourself to surrender here in this deeply restorative posture. Half a minute to go. Last couple of breaths. Sweep the hands back under the shoulders.
Gently raise the head, send the arms forward, and we're going to come into Sphinx Pose, so dropping the belly, taking a counter now. Elbows are tucked underneath the shoulders, arms are extended out in front of you, palms pressing into the ground, fingers widespread, raise up out of the earth, stretch, and allow the chest to coil up, creating a beautiful stretch through the lower back. Stretch through the front body. Rise up out of the shoulders here. Don't dump the neck down. Dump the belly onto the mat. Press up. Here for 2 minutes, and then we have the option to move into Seal Pose for 1 minute, or you can just take 3 minutes in Sphinx Pose. It's up to you. Feel yourself starting to lower down and dump into the posture. Just keep creating that space between the belly and the ground, the chest and the ground. Gaze forward or gaze down to the hands if the neck is feeling a little bit tender. Whatever works for you here. We've worked a lot with flexion and extension of the spine throughout this yin yoga sequence. Really working into the kidney meridian and allowing the balanced flow of chi now to move through this meridian line. Soften the buttocks, soften the thighs and calves, soften right down to the toes. Target area here is in the lower back, a little bit in the shoulders, providing that you're holding the posture correctly. We are now getting ready to transition into Seal Pose, or just remain as you are for another minute in Sphinx. If you're transitioning into Seal, just step the hands out in exactly where they are, to the edges of the mat. Press the palms in and raise yourself up. So taking a deeper back bend here. Really pressing into the ground, allowing the hands and the arms to be your anchor. Close the eyes and breathe. Soften with every breath. Soften the belly, soften the chest, soften the face. Moving into the last 15 seconds of our stretch Seal Pose. So if you're still in Sphinx, just remain there for the next 15 seconds. And then gently dropping the elbows back down into the ground. Roll the elbows out to the side of the mat. Rest one hand on top of the other. And then rest the forehead and just really allow yourself a few moments here, maybe moving the hips from side to side. Really sink right down into the mat. Take a little bit of a break here. Few big belly breaths expanding through the entire body. When you're ready, gently tap the toes. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to roll back into Child's Pose as a counter for the beautiful work we've just done in Sphinx and Seal. But just for a couple of breaths. Then gently press palms into the mat. We're coming into the last of our postures or shapes for this yin yoga sequence. We're going to take supported fish. So a good 5 minutes in supported fish. So if you have a couple of pillows rolled up in a towel or just stacked above one another, or a beautiful bolster such as this, drawing it in to the small of the back, allowing the body to rest over. You can either have the legs extended all the way down to the mat here, and then draw the arms out beside you, depending on how you're feeling today and whether or not you feel you need a little bit more relaxation. Or you can bring the soles of the feet to touch, coming into a reclined fish with butterfly legs, and you can draw the arms up overhead. So whatever works for you, just find that shape. Draw the arms out beside you. Whatever works for you. Feel free to adjust halfway through, having created a beautiful base for the whole back to be lying against. Completely let go. Just breathe now. Just come back to the breath. Focus on the breathing. Expanding through the chest as you inhale and exhale. Maybe surrender down into the ground and prop beneath you. Ensure that the chin is gently tucked in towards the chest. There's a beautiful opening here of the chest, freeing up the entire breathing cavity for you to be able to breathe three-dimensionally, breathing forward and back, side to side, up and down, really creating a lot of space, filling the body with oxygenated blood. Maybe taking a couple of sighs if you need to here as well. You have the option to either stay here in your supported fish pose, or you can join me in Shavasana or corpse pose, final relaxation, as we fully surrender down into the mat, letting go and allowing the body to assimilate this beautiful yin yoga practice for the kidney meridian. So if you're coming into Shavasana, allow yourself to come down on the mat, bring the feet to the edges of the mat, allow the hands to flop out beside you as you completely surrender now, letting go fully, allowing the body to assimilate the practice. Allow yourself to let go as you begin to scan through the body, beginning with the toes, the soles of the feet and the ankles, searching for any tension here, letting go and relaxing. Scanning up now through the calves, the shins into the knees, letting go, softening and relaxing. Softening into the thighs, the hamstrings, the hips, the butt, the lower back. Letting everything gently soften against your mat as you let go. Relax. Allowing the fingers to softly rest, backs of hands pressing down into the mat or the ground. Forearms, elbows, upper arms all soft. Relaxing into the chest, softening into the neck, shoulder blades, shoulders completely relaxed, unclenching the jaw. Relaxing through the muscles around the mouth and the eyes, softening into the forehead, and finally to the back of the head where the head is resting on your mat, just allowing it to really sink that bit deeper. Deep breaths. Just breathe. No matter what's happening, just turn to the breath, allow the breath to anchor you back inward to a place where you feel safe, to a place where there's no stress. And you can gently begin to wriggle the toes, bringing some movement back into the feet. Taking the tip of the thumb and drawing it across the tips of the fingers as you begin to roll your head over from one side and then to the other. And then gently drawing your arms up overhead, taking a last deep stretch here before rolling onto either your right or your left side for a last moment. For today's reading, I have something written by Rebecca Campbell, who wrote, "May we lose our grip and open our hearts. May we release all that is no longer a vibrational match. May our hearts be open, stretched, and full. May our arms and minds stay open so that what is on its way can arrive swiftly. May our mouths be used as vehicles of truth, integrity, and peace. May our creations travel, our new projects be ignited, our deepest voices be heard, and our hearts held by the mysterious force that simply is. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is." Bringing your hands back into prayer position. Allow the left and right hemispheres to touch. Gently begin to rub the palms together, generating some warmth between the hands. And then resting that warmth into your heart center. Taking a deep inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, allow the nose to drop down towards the tips of the fingers. Taking a moment to acknowledge yourself for turning up to this practice. Namaste. Wishing you a truly beautiful day further.